Hey guys, welcome to this week's Sunday Stock Watch. So first we're going to go over some economic data. Monday we don't have too much. Tuesday we do have a couple important things. PMI, construction spending, ISM, and job openings. And then we do also have a Fed speaker in the morning, so make sure to watch out for that. Wednesday we have ADP employment, factory orders. Those will be important. And then a Fed speaker, but much later in the day, so probably shouldn't affect a whole lot. Thursday we have initial jobless claims, ISM, PMI, and then a couple of Fed speakers later as well. And then Friday, employment, unemployment, those will be really important. And then Powell is going to be speaking, so please make sure to watch out for that as well. So obviously, last week we did get a lot of downside, and now the overnight market is opened up, we are at a pretty pivotal point if we go to the daily chart. So Qs is currently sitting at 462.88. So if we continue to see lower than 460 area, we can most definitely be sure to see down to around 450 this week, even down to 449 almost. So definitely be watching for that as well. And then if we do happen to get upside, and something I forgot to mention is Trump will be reciprocating the tariffs that are coming on Wednesday, so he will be going over those and talking about them once again. So that may cause a shakeup and some more downside. So Qs is right now sitting at lower 460. Once again, we see below 460 easily, could see down to 449 sometime this week. I would be watching for that 456 area and down to 453. If we continue higher for some reason and we reach back to 465, 466, we could easily see back into 468, 469, but that's looking pretty unlikely for this week. Remember to not have a bias going into this week either. So SPY is also at a pretty pivotal point as well. So we are currently sitting at 551.50. If we see below here, we could easily see back to 544 into 539 range if we do end up getting a lot of downside. So definitely make sure to watch for that. If somehow, once again, in whatever case, we recover somewhat, we could see back to 555 to 558, 560 area. Next, we'll go over Tesla. So Tesla did also obviously get a ton of downside after doing pretty well. So we are back at this 551.29 area. Sorry, 251.29. Nothing crazy. We were recently at this area. We've seen it. So in the case that we do get some major downside, we could easily see back into that 235, 236 area, and lower than that, I would say 225. Lowest area we could see this week is around 215, 213, so definitely just be careful for that. If we do somehow recover, get some upside, we could see Tesla recover back up to this 260 that we kind of ended at. To 262 is a key level I would watch for, and above there. Nvidia, another company that has gotten a ton of downside last week. So Nvidia, right now we are currently sitting at 106. We could easily see back into 96, 98 area if we see below 100 with Nvidia this week. Again, if we get some upside, we could reclaim 110 to this 112 area, but that again is seeming unlikely. And please go into tomorrow with absolutely no bias. We could very much so continue downwards. So other than that, I'm not going to go over SMCI or AMD. I'll quickly go over coin. So Bitcoin right now we're sitting at 81,600. So Coinbase, we haven't seen this area in quite a bit since pre-election. So I would say we could easily see back into this 150, 155 range. Right now we're sitting at 167 overnight. So just make sure to watch for that. Once we continue to get more downside, even below 150, if Bitcoin does for some reason reverse, we could reclaim 175 again and see 180. Other than that, let's go over Meta real quick. So Meta right now is currently overnight sitting at 564. So below this 564 area, we could easily see back down to 554, 555 range. So make sure to watch for that. We did get a good amount of downside with the last kind of pullback we had, or correction, but right now we again are at a pretty key level. So if we continue down, we could see areas that we haven't seen since, October, September range. So Meta, which does move a lot, we could see down to 530. Once again, if Meta does continue up for some reason this week, we could see back and reclaim this 575 area and up to 580, but again, like I've been saying, seems very unlikely for the conditions that we are currently having. Other than Meta, let's go. So next thing I'm going to be taking a look at is Netflix. Obviously, we've been doing pretty well with Netflix, but we have seen below 800 pretty recently, back in that last pullback in March, in the beginning of March. So we could easily see that area once again, depending on how much Netflix moves. We're currently sitting at 924 overnight on Netflix. So once we see below 900, we are pretty free to drop to around that 860, 850, but that is in kind of the worst case scenario. So again, we'll see. This is the daily chart though, so that is would be very likely to happen this week if we really continue with that much downside. And for any reason we continue higher, Netflix can reclaim this 930 range, and we could see back up to 955, 960 area. So that is the last thing I'm going to be taking a look at. There is not really too much for me to take a look at right now. All I have to say really is don't go in with a bias tomorrow, and be really careful and really safe during this kind of major sell-off that we're getting, correction. I wouldn't really call it a crash. So we definitely have to wait till Wednesday though, once we see Trump's talk about tariffs once again. But good thing is we don't have too much news going on until Friday with unemployment. So anyways though, thank you guys so much for watching, and if you have any questions, you know where to find me.